What is the value of high credit card limits? Aside from utilization or debt ratio, what is the value? What am I missing when it comes to this constant hype and focus around developing the highest available credit limits on any given credit card, Amex or any other? So great question asked by a new viewer, to my knowledge, a new viewer, hopefully a pioneer, subscribed to the channel, dropped in the comment section of a recent video. So great question, it's a very honest question, and I think it's extremely important because purpose is everything. It's everything. And so understanding the purpose behind what we're striving for with our financials is essential. High credit limits take a lot of work, takes a lot of gumption, a lot of strategizing. They're not easy to accomplish. And it's important to understand why you're putting the work in and what you're expecting to get out of it. So first off, I want to cover a brief rundown on myself for anybody that happens to be new catching the video. I am a career banker. Been in retail banking for over 13 years at the time of this recording. I work with small businesses, small business owners. I work with consumers, and I work with what's considered like private client or the emerging affluent to affluent class of people. I manage a book of business at around $22 to $23 million in total deposits. The lending relationship is probably deeper than that. And I also have an active mortgage license, active life insurance license, active FINRA Series 6 and SIE license, as well as small business banking and credit certified. So you're getting this from somebody who's not only doing the same work in my personal finances and my own small business finances, but you're getting this from somebody who actually works in the field 10 toes down and has been doing it for over a decade, helping the same group of people in person that I'm bringing this content to on this channel. So when I responded to that comment, the basic premise was, I don't know anything about you. So I don't really know exactly what your financial situation or lifestyle looks like to specifically speak on what value you can get from high credit limits. But I gave an example. One of the examples I gave was how personal credit limits bridge over to the business credit side and can be the foundation of getting you access to capital with low to no documentation, access to high limit credit cards on the business side to allow you to get your business off the ground. That was the first example I gave, which turned on a light bulb for that viewer and what the potential in the situation is. But there was still a lot of curiosity on what the value might have been on the personal side. And I think that's a great question. So when you talk about it on the personal side, there's a multitude of things you can accomplish with high credit limits. You look at it as two buckets. There's opportunities and there's emergencies. Starting with the emergency side of it, whether you may agree with it or not, having high credit limits is a great safety net to your personal finances in case of an emergency. You will hear me constantly talk about on this channel, because of where I'm from, the experiences that I've had, the analogy of evacuating, because I live in Hurricane Alley, and every 3 to 5 years we have to get out of here, even if it's temporarily. And sometimes we have the Hurricane Katrina scenarios where it's permanently damn near. We have to be mindful at any given time, every single year for 4 or 5 months out of the year, that we may be pushed out of our natural environment, our setting, our home, our businesses. And we have to have the resources to be able to go out to a new city. And not all of us have family to go shack up with. So we have to be prepared for hotel costs. We have to be prepared sometimes to rent a car. We don't know how long we're going to be there, food that we weren't going to spend money on, potentially having to replace clothes, etc. We have a very unexpected emergency scenario breaks out when you have to evacuate for something like a hurricane. So having high credit limits gives you the spending capacity to foot the bill for that emergency. Ideally, if you're in a position, maybe you're able to do this on a 0% credit card. Doing what I do on a daily basis in my corporate career, that's one of the sticking points to the credit cards that are often gotten on a consumer side by clients. A lot of them, because we all are used to this environment, one of the first things they mention as to why they want that credit card is the 0% to support them in case they have to evacuate. Now, I understand cash savings can be ideal. I'm not somebody who's against that. But what I'm saying is, even if you have cash savings, it's so much more strategic and safer, because credit cards are safer ways to spend money most of the time. And you could potentially be getting rewards points or not paying a lick of interest, footing the bill for an emergency, and then having the opportunity to be reimbursed by a local, state, or federal government most of the time when you have evacuations and emergencies. And if you work for a company like I do, they also support you. My company, when the most recent hurricane in 2021 came along and pushed us out for several weeks because it knocked power out and gave a lot of roof damage, property got rained into, water got in, etc. Most of us were displaced for weeks at a time. My company supplied room and board, put cash in our pocket, etc. The benefits of the credit cards allowed me to foot the bill, potentially get rewards points on those purchases, and still reimburse that money without ever losing a dollar. I didn't pay anything in interest. I didn't have to dip in my savings. So it's your opportunity. If you do have cash savings, if you're somebody who does believe in a nest egg, and maybe you have a high yield savings account sitting on the side for emergencies, you can not disturb that interest earning. Put those costs on that credit card for a month or two, possibly at 0% interest, or at least catch it for 30 days at no interest cost. Get rewards points, so a positive arbitrage, and still, get done what you need to get done without the concern of damaging your personal credit. Because listen, if I have to evacuate, I have to take myself and my family, we can need a hotel room for a couple weeks, a few weeks at a time. That's easily $1,000, $2,000 at a decent hotel or more. Food costs that you didn't plan to spend, especially if you're in a hotel, you can't cook like normal, so you're eating out almost every day. If you are displaced for that long of a period of time, you probably didn't pack enough clothes, so you're gonna have to buy clothes. Are there children involved? Are there older people? I have a parent I'm taking care of, a disabled veteran, 80 plus years old, needs attention. He needs different level of attention. So the cost of that can add up really quickly. And so if I have to put $4,000 or $5,000 on a credit card for evacuation purposes, I need to have a credit limit safe enough to protect my debt ratio, as you mentioned in your comment. And so that's just one scenario on the emergency side. You can take your mind and let that spin off into dozens of scenarios, because you may be in a part of a country where that emergency looks different and you can apply credit cards to that. But that's just one scenario on the emergency side. Now, the opportunity side is extensive. You have just the positive arbitrage of credit cards, the ability to be able to earn rewards points, travel perks, etc. on your everyday spending. And the higher the limits are, the higher your spending capacity could be. Now, high limits are very relative. So what that basically means is you can get high limits that are just, 2 to 3 or 4 times your monthly spending. So if I spend $2,000 a month on groceries, gas, insurance, utilities, if that's $2,000 a month and I have a credit card that's $8,000, that's 4x my normal spending on a monthly basis. That's a high limit in my opinion. I get the hype behind it because most of us that are in the personal finance space on the internet and YouTube are focused on high limits for business purposes. So $8,000 isn't going to move the needle very much. But when we're talking about the personal side, as requested in the question in the comment section I'm responding to, it was like, more on the personal side. $8,000, if that's 2x my monthly expenses, that's perfect. That's great. The same thing can be said about if you are in a scenario where you have an emergency and you want to do what's called strategic borrowing, whether it's an opportunity or emergency. You have something that's $5,000 that you can either pay for as an opportunity or pay for in case your car breaks down, for instance. If well, I have that money in savings, but I have a 0% credit card offer, I can cover that opportunity cost or that emergency cost and not disturb my savings on that side. There's the positive arbitrage from credit cards. There's the ability to not disturb your cash if your cash is already earning money. And then there's the opportunity of the business side, like I said, they extrapolate on that even more. You have the opportunity when it comes to getting high limits on the personal side. The comparable credit phenomenon is very real on the business side. Getting to $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 limits on the personal side opens a business up to feel confident that you can manage $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 on the business side, or at least have a shot at it. And so it's really all about what your scenario is. Do you have a family already? Are you just a single young guy? Are you a single older gentleman? Whatever the case, and I'm assuming you're a male. I could be wrong. If you're a woman, please forgive me. Whatever the case may be, whatever your scenario, if you want to expound on it in the comment section, comment down below. When you think about emergencies, when you think about opportunities, when you think about the arbitrage from spending and the rewards points that you can get, when you think about the fact that you need to protect your credit when you do need to make larger expenses or monthly expense purchases, again, if you have to spend $5,000 or $7,000, trying to do that on $10,000 limit is a problem. So you really need $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 before you can comfortably spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month, or in an emergency scenario or an opportunity scenario. So on a personal side, it's about more spending capacity. It's about buffering for emergencies. It's about setting yourself up for opportunities. And it's also about making sure that you're building out a robust credit profile. The more credit that you're extended to have, the more that other lenders will be willing to lend to you. And this goes across the board, especially like for like. So high credit limits on personal credit cards can really extrapolate out into inflating your credit report, buffering it from high utilization issues, but also getting you access to more capital on any other borrowing you may want to do, whether that's personal, recreational, in some type of investing, whatever the case may be. Having higher personal credit limits, having stronger personal credit from those higher limits just makes the entire debt system that we're in the United States smoother for you. So you can comment down below. I just kind of wanted to give you an off the top of the head scenario of the credit building benefits of high personal credit limits, which you kind of touched on in your comment. The spending capacity component, the emergency buffering component, the opportunity, strategic borrowing is something I'm going to be covering a lot more on this channel, where you put up money in credit, little to no cost. If you can get 0% or some low intro APR and save your cash, keep your interest in place that you might be earning on your cash. This is how you navigate the financial system. You will be rewarded so much more in this financial system if you get outside of just dealing in cash. There's so much positive arbitrage because you're creating a bigger pie. That's just the way capitalism and our economic system works. So that's why debt is what it is, or one of the major reasons why debt is the basis of our economy, because you're basically creating, money's being created out of thin air whenever you borrow it. And when that happens, people are spreading that money out and they're all using it for their various economic purposes, usually making a surplus. Credit card companies, when you spend on there, they're getting the interchange fees. So it's your job, and they're splitting some of that interchange fees with you in rewards points, and travel perks and benefits, insurance protections on your card, all these different perks and benefits on your credit card. So again, the higher the limits are, the more other credit card companies and lenders are going to want to do business with you. The more spending capacity you're going to have, the better you're able to protect your credit, protect your finances, protect your family in some scenarios. High credit limits are very, very useful tools. And there's even more that many of you might be catching this video over time. Comment down below and feed into this conversation. What else could you see contributing, or what benefits can you see from having personal credit limits, especially, again, personal credit card limits that are higher than normal, 10, 15, 20, 25 plus. Let me know what benefits you have in your personal scenario in the comment section down below, so we can answer, all of us as a community and as a network can answer this question for this individual, so we can give this more context, because purpose is very important. So this was a great question. If you needed more detail, I can even do more research on it and dive deeper. I literally kind of recorded this right going into the office, pretty much the same morning you left your comment, because I thought it was really, really insightful and very valuable for a lot of people who are either new into the finances or just new to the concept of, utilizing credit cards or high credit limits in the first place, whatever the case may be. I just wanted to make sure that I covered this while it was fresh on my mind. So to all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. If you want to continue to learn more about myself and the channel, go to the description section and work your way to the About section. Support this channel so this channel can keep supporting you. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Other than that, I want each of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.